This week on Cruise In.
So this is a 1967 Ultra van.
Not so much dissecting frogs in science class.
And he designed a head just for Chevys, a Hemi head to fit on Chevys.
That the guys, when they customized the car, they customized it right to the ground.
Cruise In from the World of Wheels in Pittsburgh, PA starts right now.
This week on Cruise In, don't adjust your television sets. It's not Honey, I Shrunk the Car guy. No, that's a giant Hot Wheels pack. An even bigger room full of hot rides. Hi, I'm Will Burge and we're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for the World of Wheels, and that is the Wolf Pack, and right now, we're gonna go talk to the pack leader, Chris.
Oh, this is pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
So this is a 1967 Ultra van. It's really a neat piece. There's less than 350 that were built, and they estimate to be less than 100 of them in existence right now. It really is a special piece.
So where did you find it?
Really cool story. So my son was actually driving home from school on the school bus, and he happened to kind of peek over into the woods one day. It was kind of a fall day, and you can kind of see through it. And all of a sudden, he saw this. He came home from the school bus super excited and said, "Hey, Dad, you gotta come check this out." I kind of blew it off, and he wouldn't let me. So he hopped in the car and made it on out to this Ultra van, and there she was. The minute I seen it, I knew this is something that we had to have. So the kind of rest is history.
So I gotta imagine there was a bunch of work that needed to be done to it. So who did all the work on this?
Yeah, this is awesome. So I am the teacher here at Mon Valley CTC in Charleroi, Pennsylvania. And we teach auto body and auto mechanics. So everything that was done here in our booth, including this 1967 Ultra van, was done by students. And these students are from 10th all the way up to 12th grade. And it's really cool stuff that they do. So this vehicle is in need of basically everything. It's been sitting outside for, I don't know, about 40 some years. So they did a really nice job on the cosmetic restoration. A lot of paint correction and touch-ups. We got the drive line all freed up. We started to address the wheels and tires and brakes, get into the mechanicals of the engine. They got into some upholstery, all kinds of stuff. It was really an awesome project for the students to be involved in.
And how long did it take to get it to where it's at now?
Believe it or not, we've only been working on this vehicle for about 4 months.
Wow. So you got some good students, basically, you're telling me.
Absolutely. These kids are awesome, and I really think the key with it is finding that emotional connection.
What was their favorite part of this restoration on it?
What was amazing is when we got this, I left it outside in the parking lot, and I had all the students inside the building, and I opened the door up, and everybody just kind of looked and was like, "What in the world is that thing?" It's so different. They were happy and just full of joy every time they got to work on it because it was something so different.
Well, I'm gonna say, so what is it? I mean, it looks so different. The bumpers look different. The shape's different. Explain to us exactly what this is, because I haven't seen one before.
Yeah, so the Ultra van, basically the short story is there was a guy out in California that loved to go boating and he loved to go camping, but he was tired of taking his truck and taking the camper and boat back and forth to the lake. So he had this crazy idea. He got his Airstream, cut a big window in it, put a Corvair motor behind it, hooked his boat to it, and drove it to the lake. And everybody kind of lost their mind. They're like, what do you got going on here? So long story short, he ended up going into production, and that's basically where that all stemmed from, and they started building these Ultra vans. The really neat part about this is it's not a usual construction. It's actually built more like an aircraft. There's no frame. It's all basically ribs like an aircraft fuselage. It has a Corvair power plant, flat 6, 110 Corvair, 2-speed power glide, manual drum brakes all the way around.
Wow.
And, yeah, it's really incredible.
And no bumper. Well, it has a bumper, but it's a different kind of bumper.
Yeah, the original bumpers, believe it or not, were actually styrofoam. So one could imagine.
No way.
They didn't hold up over the years. So somebody got creative during the lifetime of this vehicle, and they made them out of PVC. It's kind of cool.
So can you drive this around right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Wow. How difficult is it to maneuver?
It's akin to driving a wet piece of pasta. You have to really plan your starts and stops, and it's a 2-speed power glide with about 80 horsepower going to the wheels. So I mean, it takes a little bit. Okay, this is our 1951 Mercury Coupe. This is a super cool car we have here. This is an original barn find. I mean, this car has been in slumber for about 40 years, and we had the opportunity by a very generous individual that wanted to make a donation to the school district to kind of dig this car out of this barn, literally, and bring it up to the school, and it became a project of ours.
So what kind of work was involved in just getting it out of the barn?
Oh my gosh, it was a surreal experience. I mean, you read about these kind of things in newspapers and TV shows, and there was trees growing in front of the barn doors. We literally had to cut down. We had to take the hinges off the doors and open this barn up that hasn't been opened in, roughly 40 years. We actually had to lift the vehicle up out of the broken floorboards and extract it and get it back to the school, and it was amazing. It really
so
was.
An adventure just to get it to the school, and then what all did the students do to it?
Well, first a real good washing. So we spent several days detailing the vehicle to kind of see what we really had, and then at that point we started with the mechanical restoration. We went through the timing, we went through the carburetor, we went through the engine, all the brakes, steering, suspension components, and we freshened everything up, and that way the vehicle's roadworthy. So she's a roadworthy driver. It's awesome. The kids had an amazing experience doing that. This vehicle has less than 30,000 miles on the clock.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So what took the longest on this so far to this point of the restoration?
The longest thing was honestly trying to make everything correct and everything right. We had access to a lot of new old stock parts, and just making sure that the numbers were correct and everything was correct to that year. We really want to do this car some justice and have it correct.
And is it the original paint too?
It is, yes.
Wow.
This is the original paint on this vehicle. You can tell probably sometime in the early 60s there might be a couple of fender benders and a few things touched up, but this is 90% original paint on this vehicle.
Wow, that's crazy. And then the interior as well?
Yep, the interior is completely original. All the chrome's original. Nothing has been touched. It's a survivor. Yeah. I really feel it would be a shame to paint this car or restore it. I mean, it tells the story just the way it is.
Next up,
it's a wide body. It's actually 8 inches wider than it was factory. Same deal. They made these all out of cardboard, fitted them, cut them out all by hand out of steel, and they welded them in, formed everything in.
Next. Welcome back to World of Wheels in Pittsburgh, PA on Cruise In.
All right, Chris, so what is this one?
This is a 1981 Volkswagen Rabbit pickup truck. We got this one roughly 6 years ago. It was in very, very, very poor condition. The interior was basically non-existent. There was holes through the bed floor with trees growing through it, and it was completely deplorable. It was a very, very poor condition vehicle, but kind of have a cool connection to it because these were actually built over in New Stanton, Pennsylvania, kind of right where we're at. So this truck was actually born, 35 minutes from here, which is pretty cool. So.
Now I got to imagine this isn't what most of them look like that are still around, right?
No, not at all, yeah. The cool story behind this one is we've had this truck, like I said, for about 6 years. Every year the students get an opportunity to kind of put a spin on this vehicle. So every class that's been here has kind of had the opportunity to do something different to it. And it's kind of evolved to what it is today. It's had several different looks to it, and it's really a lot of fun. There's been a lot of work into it.
So is that what Wolfpack Customs is?
Yeah, that's Wolfpack Customs for us. If you notice on the door, this is a hand-painted logo of Wolfpack Customs. So what we kind of did is we did a spin-off of our class, right? So you have all these shops out there that put out this amazing work, and I wanted to kind of bring that vibe and bring that energy into the classroom. So I created Wolfpack Customs. So that's kind of our shop. That's our deal, yeah.
And then one of the projects was the engine, correct?
Yeah.
Which is very unique.
The engine's a very unique engine. It has a 2-liter bottom end from a 1999 GTI, and the head is actually off of a 1983 GTI. It's a 1.8-liter head. So this engine actually doesn't exist. It's a hybrid motor that we put together, so it's something a little bit different. It has forged crank, forged rods, flat top pistons. The head has been ported and polished. It has a 306 cam in it. All kinds of good stuff going on with the engine. Yeah.
And then the seats inside, those don't look like that's how it used to be either.
No, these Rabbit pickups have never been offered with a bench seat, and we always thought it'd be kind of cool to put a bench seat in it. So the bench seat was actually sourced out of a Dodge minivan. We made custom brackets to make it work. You'll notice too in the back too, there's actually a school bus seat mounted in the bed. The students went out and they fabricated all the mounts to make that work.
Is there a spoiler on the back?
Yeah. One class, this was 4 years ago, they kind of wanted to do that road race rally kind of look to it. So I actually had a student take cardboard and had old pizza boxes and stuff we had laying around. They actually duct taped it all together, and he made the templates for those spoilers, cut it all out by hand and tacked it onto the truck, and it's been there ever since.
We talked a lot about the wing. Talk to me about the process of putting that together.
Yeah, so actually I drew it on paper. We were trying to get something a little bit different than just the normal like ducktail you see on like Subarus, that kind of thing. And with it being more of a rat rod, I wanted a more industrial look. And so we went with kind of modified, some supports kind of drawn from like a chassis mount kind of look. And yeah, came to be cut out all the pieces by hand, literally just hand tools like hole saw to get the dimple die look on the sides, and yeah, threw it all together.
I gotta imagine when you talk to other people about your high school experience, it's a little different than what they did in their class.
Slightly, yeah. It's not so much dissecting frogs in science class, more working on cammed Volkswagen trucks, yeah.
It's a wide body. It's actually 8 inches wider than it was factory. Same deal, they made these all out of cardboard, fitted them, cut them out all by hand out of steel, and they welded them in, formed everything in.
And then what would you call that paint job?
It's kind of like a fake patina, I would say. You know, the kids had a ball with this one, so we painted it literally 5 different colors, and they sanded it all off. I had the whole class on here with with 600 grit, and they just kept sanding. And I had kids with rags with acrylic paints, simply acrylic paints from art class, and they were kind of wiping everything down to do the highlights. And then the students went ahead and cleared it, and it's phenomenal. I'm so impressed with their work. And how the vehicle came out. It looks super cool.
And I'm sure every one of these is special to you, but I gotta imagine this one's probably the most special because of the personal touches.
It really is. Every class that I've had since I started here in Mon Valley has touched this truck. So this is very special to me for that reason. There's been over 300 kids that have interacted with this truck and have made it what it is today.
On this edition of Off-Roading with the Rust Belt Boys, a 1953 Chevy Pickup truck here is making tremendous progress here. We have it on its custom wheels we had made by US Wheel out in California. If you look at this here, this truck is absolutely beautiful. The ride height, we have a 2x4 right there just to bring the ride up a little bit so we get the jacks out. But this is going to be test driven here shortly. We have to get it lined up and AC charged by our friends at Cars Auto Group over there in Canfield. So they're gonna charge that stuff for us and align it for us. This is a full custom adjustable Art Morrison chassis. So as you can see it here, it's just made for this truck. It just pops. This classic green color here with the LS motor just really makes this thing look really good. It sounds good. It's gonna drive awesome, and we can't wait to get on the road. Now this is the back end here of the 53 Chevy pickup truck. We're gonna take it off the jacks here shortly, gonna lower it down here. But as we're doing that, the custom oak floor here, natural white oak, looks really good with the stainless strips. Center mount gas tank here, all aluminized. Just a fabulous truck here in this Art Morrison chassis. All right, so we have this 1953 pickup truck here on its full suspension. We have it on 2x4s just to get the jacks out. As you can see, it's just really low to the ground. Total cool low rider here, pickup truck, old school hot rod with modern features. And we're gonna test drive this here sometime later in the week. And we just can't wait to show you this buzzing down the road. One of the options here we offer at Rust Belt Broncos is your classic Bronco tub here. We're gonna add the paint option here of epoxy priming it. We dry sand with DAs the entire body to get it down to bare steel. We wipe it clean and we epoxy prime it here. So you can do your body work right over this epoxy primer once you get your Bronco tub from us. As you can see here, full model here with the cab top and the full quarters here with the arch. Looks really well. Check it out and we'll see what else we do at Rust Belt Broncos. One of the other features here at Rust Belt Broncos we offer is the latch package here. This guy bought our window package here, so we're going to completely assemble the guts here for the windows and the door locks. That way there, it's fully assembled, the customer gets it, they know how it goes together when they take it apart for their paint work. Rust Belt Broncos, your one-stop shop for full restoration of Broncos, full tub builds, classic builds, you name it, we can do it at Rust Belt Broncos. Custom welding, fabricating assembly, Classic paint jobs, we can do it all. 330-533-4757, rustbeltbroncos.com.
Coming up,
Well, the car is based on the original Moonglow.
and it's next on Cruise In. Now back to World of Wheels on Cruise In.
We're standing in front of my 1954 Chevrolet Bel Air. It's a two-door hardtop model. It's an original Bel Air car. The hardtop, if you wind down all the windows, there's no post in it.
How long have you had it?
I've owned it for about 2 years.
2 years?
This car was built in 1985, just as you see it, with the paint and the interior.
So did they wrap it in plastic for all these years? I mean, it looks like it just got done yesterday.
Well, it spent some time in a museum. I don't know exactly how many years. I've been told it was 10 years. But it was also turned over to different guys that have owned it prior to me, and we're all known as caretakers.
So how did you come across that?
I followed this car since about 1989 when I first seen it at a show here in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah. So I bought it in Alabama when I found it.
And what was it about this car that caught your eye and you liked it so much?
Well, the car is based on the original Moonglow that was built in California in the 50s.
So it almost feels like for you this is a piece of history that you're caretaking.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm a big historian in this hobby. So the car has a lot of history, local history, but based on the original Moonglow. When I say it's a recreation, well, it's the best parts of the Moonglow over 4 or 5 years incorporated into one car.
That's great.
So,
walk me through some of the more unique features on there.
Well, it has 3.5 inches chopped out of the roof. Okay, it's lowered all down on drop spindles and air shocks. Okay, it has a 350 engine, which is not typical to the original Moonglow because it was only a 6-cylinder. Under the hood is just as pretty as on the top. Okay, it has Chrysler taillights in it. It has Frenched-in 54 Mercury headlights, and then these trim rings were made on a lathe and chrome plated.
Tell me about the wheels, because they are, I mean, that was the first thing I noticed when I walked up.
Well, they're stock wheels, but the hubcaps were made out of some bars off of another model, okay, and they were added. You'll see there's 8 or 10 bars there. They were bolted in, and it was just something that we did back in the 50s and 60s. That the guys, when they customized the car, they customized it right to the ground.
Tell me a little bit about the interior, because it looks like nobody's ever even sat in it before.
Well, it's an old velour interior that was done in the 80s, and it's still that and a combination of some leather, and it's still holding up very well. The thing that I appreciate most about the car is that the guys that built this car built the craftsmanship into it, and it stood its test of time. So now I get to bring it to different shows as a caretaker, and I let other people enjoy it that haven't got to see it for years.
All right, Charlie, what are you standing in front of here?
1941 Willys Pickup, all steel body, fiberglass tilt front end, with a very rare Chevy Hemi. It's called Aras Hemi heads. It's a 540 Chevy block with Aras Hemi heads.
And what makes it so rare?
Well, they don't make them anymore. They made them back in the 70s, I believe in the 80s, and that was it.
And how powerful is it?
Oh, it's pretty powerful. This one probably has right around 14 to 1600 horse.
Oh my Lord. That's, you could take off into outer space with that thing.
Pretty close.
Yeah. So how do you come across an engine that rare?
I looked for 2 years. They were designed out, Nick Aras Jr. was from out in California. He was a big drag racing guy. And I guess he got mad because the Chryslers were beating Chevy back in the day, in the 60s, I guess, and 70s. And he designed a head just for Chevys, a Hemi head to fit on Chevys. And then they started kicking Hemi.
So did you have the engine or the wheels?
No, I didn't have the engine. I found the body, it's an all steel body. I found that from a friend of mine had it. And so I bought it from him, and we started redoing the body and everything. We didn't have anything to put in it, so I started looking for these Aras heads. My engine builder in Erie, Pennsylvania, found it online, and I called the guy up and drove down and bought it.
That's crazy, just right there in the
never
backyard.
been used. He bought it from Nick Aras Jr. years and years ago. I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago, and never put it in his basement, never used it.
I mean, obviously you probably can't open this all the way up, right? Or how fast does it go?
Oh, it's fast. I've never really raced it yet. I take it to cruise-ins.
Yeah.
You know, I park the trailer down the street because I trailer it.
Yeah.
And I drive it into the cruise-in, but that's about it. I haven't really taken, I'm gonna take it to a drag strip this year to see what it does. I'm afraid of hurting the motor though, but.
What's up, the Tasmanian Devils? Tell me about that.
When I was younger, everybody called me Taz because I was a little crazy. So the Tasmanian Devil is one of my favorite cartoon characters, so I put him on there.
That's awesome, that's awesome. And what's the color of the car?
Candy apple red.
It's gorgeous. So this sat without an engine for 2 years while you waited to find that one. Would you eventually just put something else in it, or was it waiting for that no matter what?
No, I was waiting to see if I could get that motor, and I found it finally.
Well, I'm glad you did, because this is awesome.
Yeah, it's different.
What a great day out here in Pittsburgh at the World of Wheels show, and plenty of thanks to go around. Thanks to everybody who showed off their rides today. Thanks to Chris and the Wolfpack, and thanks to you for tuning in to Cruise In. I'm Will Burge saying so long until next time.